Hey everybody, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Vicky.
And we're the Drama Mamas.
Yeah, we are.
This week we are taking on West Side Story, in which there is much snapping.
Much.
It's a modern take on Romeo and Juliet.
Yes. Ish.
Modern-ish.
Modern-ish.
So please silence your cell phones. Viewer discretion is advised. And now, your feature presentation.
Real quick.
Yes.
Because I saw today, Thomas Stanford, who was the film editor, died at age 93.
Today?
Well, yeah, today.
Man.
December 29th.
He just couldn't take our opinions.
Yep. He wasn't ready for this jelly. So, R.I.P. Thomas Stanford.
He was the editor?
The film editor.
All right.
You did a bad job. You should have left most of it on the cutting room floor.
Wow. All right. So this is going to be interesting. All right. So it was directed by Jerome Robbins and Robert Wise. Jerome Robbins has 2 directing credits. The first one was the Ford 50th anniversary show, and the second was West Side Story.
Okay. I wouldn't have put that together if you hadn't told me.
Robert Wise, or Weiss, I think it's Wise.
How's it spelled?
Like Wise. W-I-S-E.
Then I would say it's Wise.
Yeah. 41 directing credits. Before he did The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original, in 1951. And since the only thing that I knew that he did was Star Trek the Motion Picture in 1979. Writing credits. So Ernest Lehman wrote the screenplay. He has 25 writing credits.
Nice.
Before this, he wrote the original Sabrina screenplay, which was Audrey Hepburn. I really like the remake with Harrison Ford and Greg Kinnear.
Speaking of Audrey Hepburn, they wanted her to play Maria.
I think that's in my notes, yep.
But she was pregnant and had already had 2 miscarriages, and she was like, no.
Yeah, I'm going to take it easy.
Not trying to exert myself on some fucking musical.
So also before the West Side Story, he did North by Northwest. Since he wrote The Sound of Music and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
I know The Sound of Music, and I feel like I've heard of
some of this stuff because it's so old, and I'm not super into old movies. I just recognize the names.
Well, I like one of the biggest differences between our upbringing, I think, is that my mom kind of relied on TV, and your mom did not.
Yeah.
And so I've seen a lot of really old movie, not this particular one, but I've seen a lot of older stuff because there wasn't newer stuff to watch.
Right. No, definitely. Especially if you had cable. Like, you've probably seen Gone with the Wind 12,000 times because it's always on cable somewhere.
I've seen Titanic 12,000 times.
All right. So Natalie Wood played Maria. She has 74 acting credits.
Okay.
She was in Miracle on 34th Street, the original.
Yeah.
I believe that she was the kid on Miracle on 34th Street.
Wow.
She was in Rebel Without a Cause, which I'm pretty sure isn't that
John Wayne?
No, I was thinking
sorry,
it was
I thought you were doing a
James
cowboy.
Dean?
I thought you were doing a
cowboy
cowboy hat
because he
and like a sheriff's badge and I was
leather
like,
jacket.
Oh yeah, I was
Let's
like,
never play charades.
No, we can't be on the same team, which means we just can't play.
Yeah, never
again.
She was in Gypsy and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Oh.
Now Natalie Wood, I thought this was who it was, but I wasn't sure. A little bit of trivia on
Natalie Wood.
A little bit of trivia on Natalie Wood. She was, when she was a child, she almost drowned.
Okay.
And she was terrified of water since. And I think she did it working, like it was on a set.
Oof.
And to the point where like a director lied to her and told her they were going to have a body double in a movie, and then they didn't, and she had to do it. But she drowned to death. That's how she died.
Oh.
And the yacht that she was on before she drowned, like that she was out in the water on, was named after the movie that director lied to her about. Right?
What? The
fucked up.
fuck? Yeah, dude. The only trivia on Natalie Wood that I had was that Marnie Nixon dubbed over her singing.
Yeah,
and then that Bernardo was the only main character who didn't have anything dubbed.
Mm-hmm. And that was mainly because he didn't have much to sing.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I have some trivia on Marnie Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to it in a second.
Okay.
Richard Baymore is, he played Tony, yes. He has 63 acting credits. Before this, he was in The Diary of Anne Frank, which I'm so glad that I looked that up because it was killing me. I knew that I recognized him from something, and he was the boy that lived with Anne and Margot, and there was that weird whatever,
yeah. That
then
is it or isn't it? We don't know because it's the Holocaust.
Right. So since then, he was in Twin Peaks, both the original and the new stuff.
Yeah.
And he was in My Girl 2, I guess. Like, that's the one where she goes to, like, California with her uncle, and, like, she has that ring that Macaulay Culkin gave her, and her not really cousin pretends to throw it in the tar pits.
Oh,
little shit.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, well, it's very frustrating. Because, like, she is almost hyperventilating. And he's just like, oh, I was just fucking with you. It's here in my hand.
That's douchey.
Yeah. And he was in 6 episodes, I think a 6-episode stretch of Murder, She Wrote.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a note.
I know a little bit about Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, I used to watch it. So this movie came out in 1961.
Mm-hmm.
So the 23rd Amendment to the Constitution extended the right to vote in presidential elections to citizens residing in the District of Columbia. So they got electoral votes, or electors in the Electoral College, as if it were a state. That happened in 1961.
Wow.
The U.S. Air Force accidentally dropped 2 Mark 39 nuclear bombs in North Carolina, each more than 250 times the destructive power of the Hiroshima bomb.
What?
Hiroshima. But neither exploded. A single safety switch out of 4 prevented the detonation of those bombs.
What? They accidentally dropped 2? How fucking crazy is that? And then they didn't explode.
Yeah, because of 1 switch out of 4.
That's insane.
That is insane.
Wow. That would be a completely different universe that we lived in.
We wouldn't live in it.
Probably not. We'd be rat people.
I meant us specifically. But yes, the human race would also be fucked.
We'd be rat people. Lizard people.
So the Berlin Wall was called the Anti-Fascist Protection Wall by its builders in 1961. The first Six Flags amusement park opened near Dallas, Texas, named Six Flags Over Dallas.
I don't feel like 1961 I'm trusted in Six Flags.
No. Pass.
Not.
The new B-52, this is crazy. The newest B-52 bomber in the U.S. by the U.S. Air Force was built in 1961, and it's expected to be in service until 2040.
What?
When I read that, I was like, in 1961, they thought it would be in service until 2040. So then I went online, and I was like, when did it go out of service? It didn't. It's currently expected to be in service until 2040. They haven't even designed the new model, or, I mean, they haven't. I assume that they might have, like, and it's not public knowledge.
They probably have the blueprint somewhere.
But allegedly, they don't even have the next one designed.
Wow.
Right. It's crazy. And it's still, like, primarily what they use for, like, long-range bombing.
That's fucking insane.
1961. That is insane. Like, that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Wow.
In 2015, there was a film called The Experimenter. It starred Peter Sarsgaard. I think that's his name. He's married.
You say Sarsgaard, and I hear Skarsgård.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh.
Every time I read his name, I get excited. And he's not related.
No,
he's Maggie Gyllenhaal's husband. Oh, but it's based on the true story.
Cute.
Really?
Yeah.
I do not dig Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
Are you Googling her?
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong.
She's got weird eyes. They're like puppy dog eyes, not in a cute kind of way.
Oh, no, I think she's cute in some pictures. In some pictures,
she does look better in some things.
She's
than
definitely,
others.
In some pictures, she's definitely not cute, but I think she's cute.
So The Experimenter is based on the true story of famed social psychologist Stanley Milgram, who in 1961 conducted a series of radical behavior experiments that tested the willingness of ordinary humans to obey authority figure while administering electric shocks to strangers. So he was basically testing at what point they would refuse to do it when they knew they were inflicting pain on someone else. I watched that movie. It was interesting to watch once, but I would... And not because it was disturbing, but because it was, like, not super interesting. Like, It was interesting enough for once.
I dig.
So the Rolling Stones would never have been formed if Keith Richards and Mick Jagger hadn't accidentally met at a train station in 1961. Richards struck up a conversation with Jagger about the blues records he was carrying, and the connection was instant, and the rest is history. Pampers disposable diapers.
Love at first sight.
Yes. Pampers disposable diapers were available for the first time in 1961.
Good.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Laura Bullion, the female outlaw member of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids gang, the Wild Bunch, lived until 1961.
Okay.
Thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Clarence Earl Gideon. 3 names, man. After being arrested in 1961 for stealing $5 in change and a few bottles of beer, appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, which established the right to an appointed attorney.
Okay, well.
Part of the Miranda rights.
You're important.
Dan Rather was responsible for the first ever display of a meteorological... I'm going to start that over.
Okay.
Dan Rather was responsible for the first ever display of a
meteorologist?
Meteorological. Damn it. Surveillance radar on television. It may have helped convince an estimated 350,000 people to evacuate their homes from the path of Hurricane Carla.
Wow.
Until 1961, oh, this is crazy. Until 1961, all YMCAs required swimmers to swim naked. And the rule only changed because parents petitioned a school board to allow boys to wear swim trunks to swim practice. I don't know why it's so funny, but it is.
I know that, like, this is really bad because they can't see my face.
I think you can feel it.
But I feel like there's disgust written all over it.
Oh, yes. It's palpable. People listening in their cars can
feel it. No, thank you.
The Oscar winner in 1961 was
and I bet there were a whole lot more bushes.
Oh, yeah. Personal grooming.
Okay, I'm done. Please move on.
All right. The Oscar winner in 1961 was The Apartment, which starred Shirley MacLaine.
Okay.
The top 3 grossing films that year were 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, that was a good one.
West Side Story.
Yeah, okay.
And Guns of Navarone.
I don't know that one.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
All right, so trivia about this movie specifically. The lyrics to America were substantially changed for the movie. There have been complaints that the Broadway version was too belittling to Puerto Ricans. In that the song mainly ridiculed Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans, the movie lyrics emphasized racism and the discrimination that Puerto Ricans were subjected to in America.
Which song was that?
The America.
Oh, Puerto Rico.
During the entire production...
my heart.
What?
I hope you sink. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I dug that.
During the entire production, the actors wore out 200 pairs of shoes.
I saw that.
Applied more than 100 pounds of makeup, split 27 pairs of pants, and performed in 30 different recording sessions.
Yeah. Over 6 months.
Yeah.
And then 7 more months to edit.
Yep. Robert Wise's original choice to play Tony was Elvis Presley.
I saw that.
Riff and Tony repeat an oath of loyalty to each other. Riff says womb to tomb, and Tony answers birth to earth. On stage, Tony's original answer was sperm to worm.
Sperm to worm.
This was changed for the movie because it was the beyond censorship standards of the time.
Yeah, which says a lot. Also, beyond censorship. Censorship.
I know, right?
Damn it. Words are hard.
Meteorological.
Meteorological. The screenplay guy, I don't remember which one, wanted it to be the first play, to use the word fuck.
And shit, right?
No, just fuck.
Pretty sure that shit was in there.
Krupke song. And they wouldn't allow it, because it wouldn't be able to be performed across state lines or something. And so they did Krupp Off in the Krupke song instead. And I was like, oh, I enjoyed that song as well.
Throughout the movie, Natalie Wood wears a bracelet on her left wrist, not for any aesthetic reason, but because she had injured her wrist in a scene in The Green Promise, 1949, when she fell on a bridge that collapsed during the severe rainstorm, causing an unsightly bone protrusion from her wrist. She wore the bracelet to hide her injury, and it became her trademark in all of her movies. I wish I had known that before I watched it, because I didn't notice either. So this was the first film to win Best Director Oscar for 2 directors. This would not happen again until 46 years later, when Joel and Ethan Coen share an award for No Country for Old Men. Even though dubbing Natalie Wood was Marni Nixon's chief assignment, Nixon also did one number for Rita Moreno, who was Anita.
Yes.
Which required a relatively high vocal register. Having dubbed Wood as well as Moreno, Nixon felt she deserved a cut of the movie album royalties. Neither the movie or the record producers would bow to her demands. Leonard Bernstein broke the stalemate by volunteering a percentage of his income, a gesture of royalty since Nixon had been a performer colleague of his at New York Philharmonic concerts. He ceded 1/4% of his royalties to her, a generous amount.
So 25 cents off every dollar?
Assuming he got 1%. If he got $1 for every $100, she would get 1/4 for every $100. Wow. That's assuming that he got $1 for every 100.
Right.
We don't even know what his cut was.
Simplifying.
Yeah.
Simplifying.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, so dumb.
You want to talk about fucking wage gaps.
Right.
God damn.
Jerome Robbins initially refused to work on the film unless he could direct it. Producer Walter Mirisch was nervous about handing the reins entirely to Robbins, who had never made a film before, so he enlisted Robert Wise to direct the drama, while Robbins would handle the singing and dancing sequences. Robbins developed a habit of shooting numerous takes of each scene, to the point where the film went over budget and behind schedule, and it led to his firing. They were just like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, dude.
Stage version was originally planned as a story about a Catholic boy falling in love with a Jewish girl.
Yeah.
The working title was East Side Story.
Yeah. I read that and I was like, why is it West Side Story when New York is on the East Coast? And then I was like, oh, it's West Side of New York.
The song G. Officer Krupke was banned by the BBC because of its mentions of drug use and sexual ambiguity.
It's interesting because while I was watching the movie, a lot of this stuff, I guess because we're so smacked. Yeah, I was like, I didn't notice anything that was
lewd.
Yeah. I mean, in the movie, I noticed lots of stuff that I was like, that's not okay. Mm-hmm. But in the songs, I didn't really. Except for, like...
Maybe you were just tuning them out because you hated them so much.
Could be. Could be.
Richard Beymer later revealed that he and Natalie Wood did not have a close rapport off camera, describing her treatment of him at the time of filming as aloof at best. Beymer believed part of the problem was a screen test from a previous film that went south, while additionally it had been speculated that Wood herself was upset that Beymer won the role of Tony over her then-boyfriend Warren Beatty, who was just one of many non-singing actors to audition for the part. Ironically, Beymer says that a few years later he and Wood crossed paths at a nightclub. She said hello to him and chatted with him for a few minutes, and he was left surprised at how sweet and kind she was to him.
Interesting.
I mean, there could have been a million reasons why. Mm-hmm. All right, so like in O, I thought that I would go over West Side Story. You could go over Romeo and Juliet.
Great.
All right, so West Side Story is about Tony and Maria. Mm-hmm. Maria's brother is the head of the Sharks Gang, which is a Puerto Rican gang in the West Side. Yep. The Upper West Side. And Tony used to be an integral part of the Jets gang, which is the white gang.
Yeah, the white.
Yes.
The white.
At one point they call him Polish, but it's
still white.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's super white.
It's
but like
still white.
You would think there would be some kind of like nationality, like they would be Irish or Italian or something, but no, they're just white.
No, they're just white. Yeah, no.
So
when I realized that too, I was like, ooh, and then I realized something else, and I was like, you sons of bitches.
So Tony's kind of out of the game a bit.
Yes.
And the tensions are rising because Puerto Ricans are pouring into that area. So the Jets and the Sharks decide that they're going to have a rumble.
Yeah, they got to
for
fight
turf.
for their streets.
Yes. They are super gangster. And Tony gets pulled into it. Before this happens, he meets Maria. It's love at first sight. And then he promises her he's going to defuse the situation. It won't be an issue.
Yeah.
Doesn't. Her brother dies. His best friend dies. He actually kills her brother.
Yep. Murderer.
He comes clean. She forgives him very quickly.
Very, very quickly. I don't even like my brother, but if somebody killed him, I'm not going to be down to fuck that fast.
So they decide they're going to run away together. She's held up by the police. She tells Anita, who was Bernardo's lover and her best friend, to go tell Tony that she's being held up, but she's still coming. Anita gets attacked by the Jets, and in a moment of extreme emotion, she lashes out and tells them to let Tony know that Chino found out, that Chino, being the second in command of the Sharks, found out what Maria and Tony had going on, and he killed her.
Yep.
So Tony finds out. He goes out for death by Chino, yelling for Chino.
Chino.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's aiming for.
Yeah.
He sees Maria. He's really happy. He gets shot. He dies.
Still not the fucking end.
Maria has a very impassioned speech, and that's kind of it.
The cops show up.
Yeah, the cops show up, but they don't do anything. They're just like, no, we're here.
No, the fucking gang members carry off the body.
All of them, Sharks and Jets.
What kind of cop are you?
Well, I think we can agree he's a really shitty one.
Ugh.
So that's the general story of the West Side Story.
Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare. We all know it. If we've been through high school literature class, we've at least heard of it, even if we slept through it.
Star-crossed lovers, if you don't know anything else.
Star-crossed lovers. What light through yonder window breaks?
It is the east.
And Juliet is the sun. Okay, anyways, we've got the... You're going to hear that. The Montagues and the Capulets. And if you want to remember, I always say Juliet Capulet. Because I'm like, shit, who's who? Juliet Capulet. But anyways, that was dumb.
No, I always look it up because I'm like, surely he didn't name her a rhyming name.
Yeah, no, he did. He did. Yeah, that's how I remember. So we've got Romeo and Juliet. They don't know each other. They're from opposing families.
They're very young.
Grievances go back so far that nobody even remembers why they don't like each other. They just know that they don't like each other. And, you know, you can't just forgive and forget.
Nope. Blood feud.
I can't think of anything that's worth a fucking blood feud. Like, where just generations of family members would go on hating the other family.
I mean, I can. Jilted lovers, murder, stealing
like,
a birthright.
I can't imagine for years and years and years and centuries, to the point where
like if you stole something from someone and then you profited off that, they're gonna hate you for it. So then you lash out at
like,
them.
Say Steve Jobs stole Apple from somebody else, and then it became Apple,
and then that person lashed out at his kids.
Yeah,
and then they lashed out at that person's kids,
and then every time they pay their bills, they're like, "This is not This is not how this should have been." Yeah. Anyways, they hate each other. They don't even know why. Romeo, he's fickle as fuck. He's all about Rosalind. She's beautiful. She's so beautiful. She won't give him the time of day because they're like fucking 14. I think he might be like 16.
She's got better things to do.
Doesn't matter.
She just got her period.
Doesn't matter. She's like, no. Romy, no.
Pass.
Yes. So he's out with his friends. What up? And they hear that there's a party. Mm-hmm. And he's...
They're by the prince, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the Capulets.
Oh, really? I thought the prince threw the party because it was like neutral territory. I
don't recall.
It's not important. Somebody threw a party.
I feel like it's the Capulets because they sneak in.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Romeo's like, no, dude, I don't want to go. Rosaline won't give me the time of day. And they're like, hey, bruh, she might be there. And all of a sudden, he's like, oh, shit, let me get my pimp suit on. Mm-hmm. Go to the party. Oh, Juliet, right. You're so beautiful.
Your tits are so much bigger.
Rosaline, who? Look at that fucking cake. I'm going to eat that.
All right.
They fucking whatever. It's time for bed. He leaves the party and she's out her window. Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Why are you called Romeo? She's not asking, where are you, Romeo?
Right.
She's saying,
like, why do you have to be
a
Montague?
Yeah. This is not, oh, Romeo, please come.
No.
Where are you? Which is what lots of people...
Damn you, Romeo.
Fucking think that it is.
It says where.
Wherefore art thou? Mm-hmm. That's not where are you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking idiots. Not our listeners. They're all smart enough to know, I'm sure.
Which is why you're telling them.
Duh. That way they know everybody else is stupid. So... he's like, what up, Juliet? I'm right here. What up, hey, girl? Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, Romeo.
Names are just names,
Why
bitch.
are you in my garden? That's weird. They'll kill you if they find out because I'm 14. Mm-hmm. He climbs up the fucking wall. They kiss. Oh, we're so in love. Mm-hmm. They end up deciding they're going to get married, and then their families will have to accept it. And
makes sense.
Then fucking... Romeo ends up in a street fight with not
Benvolio?
Paris. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Her cousin. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, oh, that fucking shithead Romeo's a
Mercutio
murderer.
dies too.
Yeah.
Now, you've listened to the play recently. I remember Mercutio
I listened to it like 2 weeks ago.
Being very charming and very funny. He's
he's like Romeo's BFF.
But he's funny.
Yeah.
Like, they do this whole thing where he's just like, oh, you bit your thumb at me, which is basically
I bite my thumb at you.
Yeah, and
he's
he was
sir, do you bite your thumb at me?
He's like, I bit my thumb.
No, sir, I don't bite my thumb at you, but I do bite my thumb.
Yes. Like, that's funny. Because it's like flipping the bird, basically. Yeah. Did you just flip me the bird? He's like, oh, my middle finger was up.
He's like... I didn't flip it at you.
But I did flip the bird.
But I did flip it.
Yeah. Like, I remember
what
really
are you going to do? Fight me?
Yeah. Like, come at me, bro.
He's like, start some shit.
Mm-hmm. So he dies.
He dies.
And then Romeo avenges him.
Yes.
Which in Romeo and Juliet, I mean, say what you will about it, but I really liked Mercutio. And it made sense to me that Romeo would be like, this is the only good thing in my life right now. What are you doing? I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like this.
He sounds just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything is terrible.
I should have been Romeo.
You should have. You would have been a really good one with your big fucking tits and your long hair. You're fucking Romeo.
All right, so anyway. What's in her name? That which we call a rose.
What's in my pants?
All right.
Anyways, so they find out that Romeo's killed
Benvolio.
Bungholio.
Cornholio. This is gonna be a long episode.
It is. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. So they find out her family's like, oh, Juliet's so sad.
Oh, she's mourning Benvolio.
Yeah, she's so sad about her cousin. And really, it's because Romeo's been banished.
Right.
GTFO,
even more so than he
Romeo.
Would have been.
Right? GTFO. And so...
Well, the prince had like a hard rule where he's just like, no blood in the streets, bros. Yeah. And then they're just like, oh, we're
blood in the streets.
Blood in the streets. And then,
and he's like, no.
So he can't come back.
He said, no, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
Not in my street. And, fun fact, this is actually the street that they were fighting over in West Side Story. Just kidding. So, Romeo's banned. Juliet's sad. Her parents are like, oh, let's have something good. You're going to marry Paris.
Oh, yay.
Now. Like 2 days.
Right.
And she's like, oh, no, this is the most terrible thing ever. And she's already married to Romeo at some point. I forgot to say.
Secretly.
Whenever that was. Yeah, it was secret. So she goes and
her nurse knows about them. Mercutio knew about them, right?
I think so.
Okay. I thought he did too.
I feel like he did.
I thought he did.
Sure. I don't remember.
It's not important.
I
listened. It's
kind
of important.
I listened to him while I was at work, so some of the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I actually have to pay attention at my job to not fuck it up. She works with her
nurse to
talk to the priest. And
they're gonna run
Romeo,
off together.
and they're gonna run off together, and they come up with plans. She gets powerful sleeping potion.
Yeah, she's gonna like fake her death.
Yeah,
that's how she's getting away.
She feels cold to the touch. She's not breathing, no heartbeat. Bitch is dead. They take her to the tomb. Everybody's so sad. Paris decides, he's like, I'm gonna go to the tomb and I'm gonna give these flowers to her. Open the tomb. Romeo comes to kill himself. And Paris is like, what the fuck are you doing here? And Romeo's like, it's not your fucking problem, bro. You leave me alone.
Right.
Leave me alone. And they fight. Paris dies. Romeo says his shit to sweet Juliet.
And then he poisons himself,
And then
right?
he poisons himself. And then the priest shows
real
up.
poison.
Real poison.
Yeah.
Then the priest shows up and he's like, fuck. Everything fucked up. Because he sent a message to Romeo, but the carrier couldn't get it to him. And so it's a giant miscommunication.
And then Juliet wakes up.
Romeo's dead. The priest tries to get her to leave with him. She's like, no, I'm not leaving with you. And the prince is coming, so he's got a GTFO. And so she's like, oh, Romeo, so I might pull some poison from your sweet lips. And she kisses him, and then she plunges the dagger into her abdomen. And then the fucking families are like, oh God, we've made such terrible mistakes. Our children are gone because, for what?
Yeah, you should have thought about that before.
Right? Like, bro, you've had this fucking, you don't even know why you don't like them. Shut up.
So,
Stop.
And that's pretty much, they learn their lesson.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they learned their lesson.
So,
it's not romance.
So the difference, there are a few differences. I think that making the sharks Puerto Rican immigrants.
Yes.
And making the Jets white.
Yes.
Put the sharks in the underdog slot. Whereas
immediately I was like, fuck the Jets.
Yeah, 100%. Cause
I was like, no, fuck you guys. You guys are white. You guys are citizens of this country. You were born here. You shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Let them have this street.
Yeah, I mean, or like coexist.
Right?
Just be people. The fact that the Montagues and the Capulets were feuding families, you didn't really care for one or the other because they were equally stupid, equally privileged.
You're just like, oh, you fucking rich people.
Yeah, like you're annoying. But putting a racially motivated issue in the mix really kind of makes you feel for one side more than the other, which I think maybe in the 60s that was less the case. But watching it now, I'm just like, these Jets are dicks.
Definitely in the 60s. And it was filmed in like 1959. So, and it's based in 1957. So, yeah, no. Schools didn't even become segregated. Desegregated until 1954.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't think that applied to Puerto Ricans, but still just...
There's a lot... Well, as far as race.
Right, exactly.
There's a lot in this movie that I have to try really hard to forgive. Just because of the time. But it made me feel really gross. Like, a lot of the movie made me feel really gross.
Well, I thought that was an interesting change because it's not even anymore.
Right, no.
Like, there's a clear underdog.
I dig that. I just didn't dig all the race.
Another change that they made was
Ism.
Anita plays the role of the nurse, basically.
Yes, but
And-
she's like a big sister.
Yeah, like
Best
her and Maria
friend.
don't have a class separating them.
No.
And she is with Bernardo. So
Yes.
the emotional stakes are higher for
Much
her when
higher.
he dies.
Yes.
And I felt like that was better
Yeah.
than just her
gave-
being...
It gave reason for her to be like, you know what, fuck you guys, tell him that she's dead.
Yeah, and exactly, when she did that, like, do you want to do a play-by-play? Because I have a lot to say about Tony and Anita and how they deal with grief and loss.
We can do, yeah, I mean, most of my notes are like in play-by-play format because I took them as I was watching the movie.
One thing that's really funny about this is that these are supposed to be gangs
Yeah.
in New York.
Yep.
And it's really hard to see them as dangerous gangs when they are pirouetting.
Fucking snapping their fingers.
Yes, the snapping. Oh my God. I remember. That's one of the things I remembered about this movie.
Yeah.
Was the snapping.
How can you not?
And that line, when you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. That line is with me until the day I die.
Yeah, you know why?
Forever.
Because you're white.
But, like, it's just with me forever. I'm
Yeah.
never going to forget that line.
Yep.
You'd think that Riff could sing, given that he plays a huge part in the film.
Nope.
He cannot.
He's not good.
And if he was dubbed, that person can't sing either.
Nope.
It's nice to see that the Jets are sexist as well as racist.
Yeah.
Not letting the girl that wants to be
Yeah.
in the gang, they
Yeah.
keep telling her to put on a skirt. And then she has a line, this is toward the end of the movie.
Girl.
She's like, no, my knees are scabby. And I wanted to be like, the fuck are your knees scabby for, girl? Like,
Climbing trees.
okay, maybe. Maybe not.
Trying to be in the gang. I like towards the end of the movie, she had grown on me a little bit because I was like, yeah, I like playing with the boys.
Mhm.
I don't, they're preferential to me a lot of
Tony
the time.
and
And
Riff?
I was like, I could fucking play that girl
Mm-hmm.
if anybody's looking
Yes.
in Tennessee.
I will get that whole production together just for you.
Thank you.
So
So I can play this tiny part.
Yes. Just for you. That's our friendship. So Tony and Riff have a really weird vibe,
Yes.
especially in that first scene. They do this weird like wrestling.
Yes.
It's weird.
Yep.
It is. There are undertones that have me questioning whether Tony is really interested in Maria.
I had put in my notes. Fuck, I have so many notes. I put at least Tony's attractive, and then I was like, I don't think I'm his type, and he's not mine because he could be my great grandfather. And while I do like older men,
Not that much older.
not quite that much older.
He, this was in some of the trivia. I had a lot of trivia on this movie, so I had to trim it down. But
There's a lot. It's a long movie. There's a lot of trivia.
and it's so big. Like,
Yeah.
it was a big production. It was very popular.
It's fucking everybody knows something about this movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He wanted to play Tony as rougher, like he'd actually been on the streets, but the director kept making him play him as like the good guy.
You're clean.
Yeah. And so they had a disagreement about the way the character should be played. I think it might have been more interesting if he had been rougher.
I feel like they could have roughed him up around the edges.
At least if
Like-
he's going to kill...
Bernardo?
thank you. If he's going to
Danny
kill Bernardo, then you need to see some darkness in him because it's literally
no,
just
he's
like...
just like, ah.
Yeah, exactly. She's doing a stabbing motion.
We should just broadcast.
I have a webcam now.
You do. Maybe someday.
So
Patreon.
Tony has a line where he's singing that something is coming. I don't know what it is. Just
like-
tied. It's death, Tony. Death is coming for you.
coming.
Maria convincing Anita to lower her neckline.
Trying to convince her.
Well, she does. She blackmails her, but
She doesn't convince her.
Yes, she does.
No. She
'Cause she
says,
says-
when you're older, maybe next year.
Yeah, but then she says maybe she's going to tell her parents that her and Bernardo see each other after hours.
She threatens her with that, and
She still says no.
she says something
I must have been
like,
typing.
you wouldn't, and then she was like, maybe next year.
The dance scene is interesting.
Yeah.
I find it, as a white person who's super white, I find it highly amusing that the white people seem to hold their own on the dance floor. Just like, literally every other culture has more rhythm than we do. Literally every other one.
Did you notice while they were doing the dance scene, when they were doing the fucking mambo song, the blonde in the blue dress in the front, on the second part where they got to their sides and did mambo, she was spinning in a circle and it looked like her shoe slid. And her dance partner put his hand on her back so she didn't fall.
Huh.
And they came back from it.
That's cool. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I rewinded because I was like, wait a second. And then I laughed. Because I'm an asshole.
They play the game where they're going to match up different partners.
Yes.
But then they immediately disregard it when they realize they're not going to be with someone of their own race.
Yeah.
The color scheme for their costumes was really interesting because, like, it clashed just like their characters do.
Yeah.
And when you see it all together in a scene like that, it was very obvious.
Yeah. They had on colored tights.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was the 60s.
There were orange. I know. But they were like orange tights and pink tights and purple tights. And I was just like, dude, who the fuck wears colored tights except for little girls?
Mod girls from the 60s. Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Thank you very much. You can look at me like that all day, but Daphne does wear colored tights.
She does, but fucking when was Scooby-Doo?
The 70s.
Yes, shut up.
So... let's see. Maria and Tony see one another. The rest of the world goes blurry and dark.
I said the fucking camera work right now.
Oh my god, it was so cheesy.
So bad.
I just met a girl named Maria. That song will be stuck in my head for weeks now.
He said, Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. Sorry, guys. My singing is
I apologize.
Not good.
On her behalf.
Sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
He's walking the street singing this, and the lights that they used on the sets were like lots of deep purples and like lime greens on wet tile, and it looked really cool. Like, he was just walking through the streets, and like the colors were really vibrant and pretty.
Notice.
I really liked it. I noticed that.
Really, that was the point of the movie where I was like, oh, it's like an hour in. And I was like, you know what? Because, like, earlier in my notes, I'd put, typically, I'm a fan of musicals. This is not typical.
Yeah, I thought you would enjoy it because you like musicals, but yeah, no. It's clear that you did not enjoy it.
Really, I liked from when he and Maria met up to their faux wedding scene. That was fine. I would take that chunk of movie. Everything else I would have left on the cutting room floor. It was unnecessary. It was boring. It was awful.
My favorite...
It was too long.
Possibly my favorite song in the movie is the America song.
You said that like 8 times.
Sorry, I really like it.
You dig it.
Like,
I liked the Officer Krupke song. I thought it was really funny.
Back and forth between Anita and Bernardo. I
like that it was sassy.
I like the Sharks girls because it felt like they had a bit of more personality than the
Puerto
Jets
Rican
girls. Yeah, and they just like were like, no, we like it here. It was shitty where we came from.
Yeah.
And the guys are like, yeah, it would be if we had the privileges that are
and they're
promised.
like, you don't understand just being here.
Bernardo says Puerto Rico is in America now. He says that. And I'm like, oh, shit, when did Puerto Rico become a territory? And I looked it up, and it was in 1898. So, Bernardo, bro, like, it's been a territory.
Life. Your entire life.
Your parents' lives.
You're an American.
Yes. So, anyway, I had to I paused it so I could look it up because I was like, oh, it must have been really close to 1959 or whatever. No.
Nope.
Long-ass time ago.
Yep.
And Anita argues with him because... he says something about Maria and Tony and seeing them on the dance floor. And she's like, they were only dancing. I'm like, they kissed.
Right.
To be fair, like, it wasn't just dancing. I'm cool if you want to say they kissed.
Yes.
But Anita and her sass is my fave.
Yeah, Anita was really, really great.
Mm-hmm. I really like her character.
When I realized that they were doing brown face, I was just like, wait a second.
The girl that played Anita is actually Hispanic.
Yeah, they still did brown face.
Yes, so that she would match Bernardo.
She's
and
actually
Maria.
who I noticed it on.
Really?
Yeah, because at first I was like, man, everybody looks really dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, they're gangs, they're on the streets, maybe that's the intention. And then it showed her, and I was like, this doesn't look natural.
The first time I saw Bernardo, I was just like, he is wearing so much makeup, and he is, because that is not his skin color.
They're doing fucking brown face. And then I was like, I know it's the 60s, but Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's not acceptable to me.
She has a line in the song, always the hurricanes blowing, always the population growing.
Yes, and she, like, did some bit with her skirt, and I was like, you get it, girl.
I know. Let's see. Anita says, I'm an American girl now. I don't want to wait. Bernardo says, back home, women knew their place.
Yeah.
Anita says, back home, little boys don't have war councils. And Bernardo says, but they do here. You want me to be an American, don't you?
And she was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
I do.
The Jet ladies are...
They're boring.
They're boring and, like, they don't have a lot to say. And when they do, it's always punctuated with a villain laugh. Like, ha 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 ha. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Like, we get it.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure that they intended for the Jets to be the villains, but they
are. They didn't, but they're shitty.
They are.
They're shitty. At the beginning of the movie, I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be cheering for the Jets or for the Sharks.
I think you're supposed to be cheering for Tony and Maria, but who really gives a shit about Tony and Maria?
And then I was like, oh, it's Puerto Ricans versus white people.
And the
I
white
guess
people,
I'm for the Sharks.
Yeah, like they're shitty white people.
Are you that fucking scene where Anita loses it?
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah. No,
did you read that trivia?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
The Jets make fun of the cops, and they do the Officer Krupke song. I didn't care for it.
I thought it was so funny. I thought it was the funniest song in the movie. Before they do the Officer Krupke song, the cops are harassing them, and then they're like, well, we've got a 1013, you better not be here when we come back. And I was like, the fuck is a 1013? And so I googled it, and it means different things in different places, but in New York City, it's where an officer needs assistance, which makes sense, as they were like, we've got to go.
Right.
So, yeah.
The Officer Krupke song is basically just making fun of how the system doesn't know what to do with them because they're such assholes.
Yeah.
And so they just blame it on different things, and eventually they'll end up in the system.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know that it's very serious, and I know, but in the movie, it was something I could laugh at.
Yeah. I mean, they were being silly, and it was intended to be funny. Yeah.
It's not funny.
I didn't care for it, but maybe I was just being overly sensitive.
But I thought the song was funny. I was being really sensitive about the fucking brown face. I was like, I'm pretty sure even some of these white actors are wearing brown face.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be so starkly different.
Which
doesn't fucking make sense. Just don't do brown face.
The War Council, the way that they escalate the weapons is not that far from reality, where they're just like, let's just have rocks. No, let's have knives. No, let's have chains. No, let's have... And, like, they just keep going and going and going. And
yeah, and it was the same way with the location. Let's do it here. No, here. No, under the bridge. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that scene, when the lieutenant comes in, that was really uncomfortable for me because, again, like, already the Jets have...
Being white. on their side.
Being white on their side, being, like, natural-born citizens.
Of the actual country, not of Puerto Rico.
Right, and, like, it's their home turf
awful,
in a
like,
literal sense. It's their home turf. And then the lieutenant comes in, and he shows a little racism, like, at first.
He shows a lot of racism.
Yeah, but, like, the first scene, he was pretty even on his disgust of the people, like, of the gangsters.
Like, all of you need to fucking go.
But this one, this scene, he's just like, you Puerto Ricans get what you've been itching for. Use of the playground, use of the gym, the streets, the candy stores. So what if you do turn this whole stinking town into a stinking pigsty?
Yeah.
And then Bernardo jumps up, and he's like, oh, no, don't stop him. He wants to get home. Write a few letters to San Juan and tell him how he's got it made over here. What I mean is clear out you. I said clear out.
Yep, and then they leave.
Mm-hmm. And they whistle My Country 'Tis of Thee on the way out, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, it's things like that make you want the Puerto Ricans to come out on top.
Yeah.
Like, fuck the Jets, fuck the cops.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are just trying to...
They just want to fucking live.
Yeah.
They just want to live.
And honestly, like, who's to say that they would even have a gang if the Jets weren't there terrorizing them? Like,
right. They probably would have just fucking had jobs because that's what people do when they're not fucking fighting over a street name.
Mm-hmm. In my notes, it was at this point where I'm like, in Romeo and Juliet, I didn't really have a preference when it came to the families. And if I did, it was Romeo's family because I liked Mercutio so much.
Yeah.
But Riff is the counterpart to Mercutio, and he has none of the charm, none of the humor.
Mm-hmm. Like, he does look kind of like William Shatner.
He's shitty,
young,
and I'm glad he died.
Young William Shatner.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, William Shatner didn't look.
Would
like
have been
that
young,
when he
yeah.
young.
He would have been young then.
Yeah, and he didn't look like what he does now, but
yeah.
he looks like young Riff, or young Riff looks like what you would imagine.
But, like, I liked
Young
Mercutio.
Riff.
I remember Mercutio being, like, my favorite character in Romeo and Juliet. And Riff, I fucking hate him.
Yeah, he's bad. He's awful.
And because I hate him so much, I don't feel like Tony avenging him is justified.
No.
Because, well, we'll get into that. So, let's see. The lieutenant bullies the Jets a little, but not enough to garner any real pity from me. Like, after the Sharks leave, he pokes at them a little bit, but it's nothing.
No.
Like, he doesn't have that sense of disgust with them.
Yeah. During this time, Tony has met Maria at the dress shop.
Mm-hmm.
And Anita's been like...
Yeah, Maria's friends are kind of mean. Where they're just like, oh, you're feeling pretty? You're crazy.
Yeah. Like,
bros.
Yeah.
I'm pretty, damn it.
Right? She's super pretty.
She is. Yeah.
Well, she was.
Mm. Anita is a really good friend.
Yes.
She just is. Like, on all cylinders firing, she is a good friend because she sees Tony and Maria. Mm-hmm. She lets her know that she thinks it's a bad idea, but she does not sell her out.
Yeah. Well, until that last scene, but I get it.
I feel like it's justified.
Yeah. Like
I'm not mad at her at all. Let's see. The scene in the dress shop is the first time where I actually liked Tony and Maria. I felt like they had cute back and forth and pretending that the mannequins are their families.
Yeah,
and
I did put pretending to have a wedding does not make you married. Just FYI.
Well, maybe they thought that it was a step too far to actually have them marry, like in Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
For it to be the wrong side of town, the streets are awfully clean.
They're very clean.
They are extremely clean. Are they both Catholic? At the end of that scene.
I'm not sure.
Oh, when she's wearing the veil and they have that backlighting. Like, it is very pretty. That is a very pretty scene.
It is.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. She went to her first dance, and now she wants to marry this dude.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yep. This is it.
Like, girl, you are crazy.
This is it. He's the one. If I had married the first dude that I quote unquote loved.
Mm-hmm. Well, technically I did. Or whatever.
Or whatever. If you had married him then, though, you guys
no,
would
we
not
wouldn't be together. Mm-mm. Absolutely
if I had married, if I had married the guy that I quote unquote loved first, my last name would be Martinez.
It's interesting.
I know.
So
That is not my high school boyfriend.
oh, the Rumble, the song that they sing at the beginning of Rumble where everything's red.
Yes.
Up until like Maria and Anita get in it, reminds me of Savages from Pocahontas. Like
Savages.
barely even human.
Yeah.
So
During the Rumble, Tony
and they
busts
all
up.
arm themselves.
Yes.
It's supposed to be
There's
fisticuffs.
two people.
Yes, two. That's it.
Dose. Your best fighter, our best fighter.
They declined to. I put touch gloves, but shake hands.
Shake hands.
And
yeah.
I get it. Like, if you were in a sanctioned fight, that's
Yeah.
considered rude. But Bernardo's like, I fucking hate you guys. You fucking hate me. Why would we do that?
Yeah, that's fake.
Yep. So I'm with him.
Tony busts up. He's like, "Don't do this! Don't do this!"
He's
and
such
they're
a
all like,
bitch.
"Rah!" And Bernardo's like, "Oh, you've come to fight me because you figured out that."
Yeah, and Bernardo is
on your
not
own.
ready to listen to him in any context.
No. And then Riff punches Bernardo,
And then they pull knives.
and then they pull. Yeah, I was
they're
like, where
cheaters.
the fuck did these knives come from?
Oh, didn't you at the beginning when they're singing the Savages song?
Savages song.
The Rumble song? Like, they're all arming themselves. They've got chains, they've got rocks,
God.
they've got knives, they've got everything.
Fucking ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So Tony loses his resolve really quickly when he gets pushed from behind. He's just like, no, I'm going to fight.
And then Riff gets stabbed.
Yes. Pretty fair. Well, I was thinking about this because originally I was really irritated because I'm just like, they pulled the knives. They agreed to a one-on-one fight.
Yep.
Riff lost the fight.
Well, Riff punched him.
In theory, that
Riff
should have been the
wasn't-
end of it.
Riff wasn't the one who was supposed to be
Yes.
fighting to begin with.
But, like, once it started, it was one-on-one just like they agreed.
Right.
They were equally armed.
Right.
So that's fair. So in theory, that should have been the end of it. I'm not saying that it would have been, but we don't get to know that because Tony immediately avenges Riff.
Yes.
But that was my initial, and I have lots of strongly worded notes about how Tony's a bitch and ruins everything. But I was thinking about it, and Tony pulls Riff away from Bernardo like several times, so we don't
He
actually
does.
know if he would have lost the fight if he hadn't been pulled away so many times.
That's true.
But I still think that Tony is a ruiner.
Bitch.
He's a bitch. So,
Why didn't you guys just fucking leave?
yeah, if it was just a one-on-one, well, I know why, because then they would assume the other gang would come back and jump their guy.
No, I mean Maria and Tony.
Yeah.
Just fucking leave.
Well, he was supposed to stop the fight from happening at all.
Yes.
He was not good at that.
No.
So, in theory,
Really, I would say that he incited it.
yeah, oh yeah, he made it worse. So, Riff should have died, and that should have been the end of it. But he immediately, completely out of character, by
Right
the way.
as Riff falls, he hands him his knife.
And he stabs Bernardo.
Yes.
Then the cops,
Immediately.
yeah, sirens sound, everybody runs. Well, actually,
After
they
they
fight.
get a couple kicks in.
Yes, and then everybody runs.
Yep.
Chino tells Maria. She's waiting on the roof for Tony.
Yes.
Chino comes up. He tells her what's happened.
Yes. And she's like, no.
Well, she doesn't know at first that Tony's the one that did it. She's just like, he's like, oh, Bernardo. And she's just like, but what about Tony? Because I don't think she understands that Bernardo's dead.
Yeah.
But she's like, what about Tony? And he's like, you fucking killed your brother.
Right.
Like, fuck you, bitch. And I'm
Right.
kind of behind him on that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, what the hell?
Like I said, like, I don't even like my brother.
So she's like, no, say it ain't so. And Tony shows up. He explains everything to her. And she's totally okay with it.
Yeah.
Which is also seemingly out of character.
Yeah.
So seriously, she knows like 4 things about Tony. And one of them is that he killed her brother.
Right?
What the fuck?
Right. And she's still like, yes, I'll run to the bus stop with you.
So the play
Okay.
it cool scene is a weird fucking scene.
Yes, it is.
And apparently it was really hard to film.
Yeah. Baby John
Yes.
passed out and he ended up having like a severe case of pneumonia or some shit.
And they all like throw away their knee pads afterwards. They're just like, fuck this. Let's see. But the spirit of the scene is not lost on me. Like, they should be playing it cool. Like, that's
Yeah.
the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
I
I don't know what's going on. Just
Yeah,
be chill.
exactly.
Like, forensics was not a thing.
Right, exactly.
And if it was not a good thing.
So I already said that having Anita being in love with Bernardo raises the emotional stakes. And I thought was a great choice.
Yes. I was really mad when Anita came in and Maria was in bed with Tony. And Anita's crying. You know your brother has been murdered by the man you're laying next to. Mm-hmm. Your friend, your best friend, your brother's girlfriend is banging on your door.
Yeah.
Please
She's
talk
just
to me.
lost her lover.
Please talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Please talk to me. And you're like, oh, God.
Hold on a minute.
Hold on. Bitch, get out of bed.
Yes.
Kick him out.
You shouldn't be in bed with him, first of all.
No. He just killed your brother.
Yeah. He probably still has blood on his hand. Literal
Right?
blood on his literal hands. So, Anita, unlike Tony, is able to put aside her own grief and loss.
Yes.
And move forward. So, Anita, she's there when the cop comes.
Yes.
And he wants to ask Maria some questions. And she gets her a coded message to go tell Tony to wait for her, that she's being delayed.
Yes.
And Anita puts aside her feelings about Tony and what has just happened, and she is going to do this for her.
Yes.
She is a better woman than I.
Yeah.
I would not do that shit.
I said, damn it, Anita.
I know, she is pure gold. And so she goes to the drugstore. The Jets are there.
The soda shop.
Yeah.
Soda shop.
It's a drugstore, too.
I'm sure.
So the Jets attacking Anita is yet another reason that they suck, and I'm rooting for the Puerto Ricans.
Right? I was like, fuck you guys. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, and
that fucking, the tomboy girl that I wanted to be, fuck her too.
Yeah.
So
they are manhandling her, which is hard to watch, but then they throw her on the ground, and they're about to do something unspeakable. It does not seem kosher in any way.
No.
Doc stops them.
Yes.
And then she plays that scene so well. Like, it is heartbreaking.
And it's because of what had happened to her. It was so hard. That's how she got to be so emotional in that scene.
Because the girl that played Anita
had been raped as a child.
Yes. And so this was...
put her back in that place. And
traumatic.
What I'd read said that the Jets, with their redeeming qualities as human beings.
Right. As actors.
The Jets gang members kept breaking character and being like, hey, it's okay.
Right.
You know,
like,
to
this
comfort
is just
her.
To make us as despicable as possible, our characters. Yeah. Like, they're going to hate us for doing this.
Right.
So she gets to the door and she turns around and she tells them to tell Tony that Chino found out about him and Maria and he killed her for it.
Yep.
Which I would believe.
Yeah.
Because if he did find out, he might have.
Yep.
And she says it, the way that she says it gave me chills. Like, she's
like,
sold the hell out of it.
It's done. She's dead.
Mm-hmm. And so Doc tells Tony.
And that's the last time you see her, too.
Yeah. I love Anita. So her lie is cruel, but I feel that it's completely justified. She just wanted somebody to hurt the way that she's hurting.
Yeah. You just fucking... Yes. I don't blame her.
I don't either.
I don't blame her.
Tony...
Like, I don't know that Maria, if this was a real-life situation, would ever be able to forgive her. Because ultimately, that's why Tony busted up out of the fucking soda shop and was like, Chino!
I don't think that I would seek forgiveness. If I were Anita, I wouldn't seek forgiveness from Maria because she's the one that put me in that situation.
Right.
Knowing what could happen.
Right.
Knowing what I've just been through. And she put me in that situation. She needs to seek my forgiveness.
Well, I don't feel like Maria could have known.
I don't think Anita could have known that Tony was then going to stumble into the street calling for Chino to come kill him.
Right.
Like, that's a bit dramatic.
Yeah.
So he seeks death by Chino.
Yep.
The scene where Tony dies is, in my opinion, much more poignant than the death scene in Romeo and Juliet. Because for one thing, they see each other. They have that moment of thinking, we're together.
We're going to be happy.
We're going to be happy. And then he gets shot.
Right as they reach each other.
That is much better than the I'm dead, I'm not dead, you're dead, oh God, I'm dead.
Right.
Like.
I said, ooh, sorry, Maria. At least you got a nice manicure.
So then she gives that speech. She has a really good line. All of you, you all killed him and my brother and Riff, not with bullets or guns, but with hate. And I can kill too because now I have hate.
And then she's like, Chino, how many bullets are in this gun? How many of you can I kill and still have a bullet left for myself? Mm-hmm. And then the cops get there.
So, I think it would have made a neater ending because she has the gun in her hand.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a cleaner ending if she were arrested for his murder.
Ooh.
Because she has the gun and her brother was killed.
Yeah.
And then she confessed to the murder and served time as an act of contrition. As opposed to dying like in Romeo and Juliet. Then it's still a tragedy.
Right. She still
loses her life in a sense.
Yeah.
I think that would have been really cool.
Well, what I had read was that originally they had wanted her to commit suicide, and then they decided she's already lost enough. She's basically dead inside.
They're not wrong. I think that this movie could have been made stronger if she and Tony had met in college and just didn't realize that they were on the opposite side of this. Because they're both pretty removed from the...
Right, but they both fucking, when they meet, they know.
Yeah. So if they had met in college, liked each other, had maybe some rapport, and then they found out they were on opposite sides of the street at the dance.
Yeah.
If then they found out that they were star-crossed,
I would have
then it would be a stronger love story.
Yes.
But all in all, I think it's a pretty cool adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. It's definitely a product of its time.
Yes.
But
I will admit that I enjoy it more than Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of Romeo and Juliet. Probably I'm not going to watch this full movie ever again.
Right.
I'll fast forward through the first hour and then maybe skip the last 20 minutes.
I would recommend it to someone that is looking for a more modern story of Romeo and Juliet.
Sure. But I also think that there are lots and lots and lots of modern takes on Romeo and Juliet.
That are a lot shorter.
Much shorter.
And less problematic.
A couple years ago, Warm Bodies came out. I would have dug doing that because I've not seen it. Fucking zombies and people.
So,
I'm going to watch that at some
who's
point.
your MVP? Mine's Anita.
Yeah.
Hands down.
I was about to say, I think it's going to be Anita. Because without Anita, nobody, just like the nurse in Romeo and Juliet. Nobody's there to carry your message.
I liked Anita. I liked the change that they made to her character. Like, the connection with Bernardo. I liked her sass.
Yes, I felt really liked her sass.
I connected with her more than any other character. And so, when she
really
felt pain,
funny.
I felt pain.
Right.
So she's my MVP.
Yeah, I thought she was really funny. She did a good job of breaking tension, but she also did a good job of
building tension.
Yes, and that's hard to do, I think, for a lot of actors. Yeah, it's hard to play both characters at the same time.
And she did it really good with silent acting as well. Like, she didn't say much in the dress shop.
No, but her
said
face,
a lot.
Yeah, she was like, y'all need to stop.
Right.
And then I'd read where the directors encouraged the Sharks and the Jets to
play pranks,
antagonize each other, and that they weren't allowed to take lunch together or anything like that because they really wanted there to be some hostility. So,
have you watched Feud?
No.
That's a tactic that they used with Betty Davis and Joan Crawford.
Oh, I think we've talked about this.
Yeah,
because I feel like we talked about it last time we hung out. Because I meant to write it in my list of things that I'm keeping.
They played on each other's insecurities
to
divide them. Because when they were united, they were causing too many issues. But anyway, so it's not the worst Romeo and Juliet story I've ever...
No, the worst Romeo and Juliet story I've ever read or watched is actual Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
And I'm like a Shakespeare fan.
And I
don't even think that it's Shakespeare's problem. I think it's fucking modern society's hang-ups on Romeo and Juliet and romance and how
revering it as
they
this
are
beautiful love story when it is in fact not.
perceiving it, when it's this disgusting, tragic, like
Shallow, unnecessary.
Yeah. All this bad stuff.
Like if they were actually in love, it would fix most of the problems.
Okay. Yeah.
But
if they
just
knew
met.
each other for more than a day.
And they're so young.
Yes.
Even young love. I can get behind young love if I feel like it's rooted in something real, but it just doesn't feel like that.
Romeo and Juliet just gets on my fucking nerves. It's never not gotten on my nerves.
So if you have opinions on Romeo and Juliet,
share them with us. I'll tell you you're wrong. Unless you say that you also think that it's
we expect you to blindly agree with us, but if you don't, you have every right to be wrong. You can contact us on social media, us, give us a 5-star review. If
We've gotten one now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tyler.
Hell yeah. Shout out. So we are 5 stars or bust.
Yep.
So if you're thinking 4.5, don't bother.
Don't bother.
Email us.
No, please do bother, actually, because iTunes has some weird algorithm. Yes. Algorithm.
Meteorological.
Algorithm. I can't even fucking say it now. I can't say it. That word that you said. And we would like to be seen by more people
at some point. That'd be great.
Maybe that'd be groovy.
If you have any ideas on how to get us out there, other than sharing us yourself, you hit us up. You can email us at dramamamaspodcast@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. We are on Facebook, the Drama Mamas Podcast. Vicky's on Twitter.
Yep.
At Drama Mamas Pod.
Yeah, I mean, we're on Twitter, but I'm the one handling it right now.
Generally, I do most of the Facebook, and you're handling the Twitter now.
Yes, I'm handling the Twitter.
And we both forget we have an email.
Yeah. Well, I've checked the email the other day because I was like, oh shit, what if somebody's emailed us? Nobody's emailed us. Nobody's emailed us. Everybody who listens, as far as I know, is people who know us.
Yes. And we're okay with that. We like the people we know.
We like the people we know.
If you want to share us with people we don't, you do that.
We would like for you to.
Yes. That would be sweet.
Metaphorically.
So what are we doing next?
Next, we are doing Throne of Blood.
Okay.
Macbeth.
That's a Japanese film.
Samurai,
right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And it was made in like the 1950s, so I ain't sure about it.
1950s.
I think Luke said he wanted to watch it with me.
7. I bet I could probably talk Zach into watching Throne of Blood with me, but I don't know that I want to.
I don't.
It really depends.
I'm relying heavily on you and knowing your Shakespeare shit, and I do all the research.
I've been listening to it, so it's okay. It's not a problem. I've already listened to Macbeth. Macbeth is probably one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah?
Of Shakespeare. Yeah, the first time I read Macbeth, I was 7.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
That's some shit.
Not to toot my own horn, but toot.
Yes, we are doing Throne of Blood, and then She's the Man. So She's the Man will be a break.
Oh, is that Twelfth Night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's
that's
supposed
Amanda
to be comedy.
Bynes and Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's pretty much it, right?
Tampons in your nose.
I just read an article today that Amanda Bynes says that 2018 is going to be her return.
Oh, shit.
So timely.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Amanda Bynes, we're bringing it for you.
If she brings back the Amanda Show, I'd probably watch it.
Ooh, yeah. Amanda.
All right, so as always, remember to save the drama
for these mamas.
Next week on the Drama Mamas.
He was hot. I bet my grandma was like, hey, boy.
I know.
Hey, what that dick do? Ooh, I don't want to think about my grandma being like, what that dick do.
All right.
That's not okay.